we'll do that.
Woot.
Okay, there we go. So
There we go.
hi, Julia.
Hi, Julie. How's it going? It's Julie
Good.
and Julia.
Julia. Wasn't there a movie
They're and a book.
and
Yeah.
a book?
Well, it was based on Julie Pauls.
Yeah,
Yes, there was a movie.
but I'm definitely not that good of a cook. So,
I'm a great cook,
okay.
so I can take. I don't know that I can make beef bourguignon, but I can do some of that. So
I bet you could, because it's just about following a recipe, right?
yeah, my problem,
And time.
I'm Italian. I'm like half Italian. Like my mother is a first generation Italian, and so my problem is that I was taught like not to use a recipe.
Oh.
So I'm like I'm like an
Although, okay, I know we're digressing a lot here.
well, it's
We'll go
just
down.
us. It's just us here.
It's just
So
us kids. I know we're going to digress a lot here. But okay, we've lost, like, my grandmother made the best homemade bread. We're Serbian.
Right.
Recipes lost because it wasn't written down anywhere. My sister and I, we make the pita, the with the phyllo dough, only because we watched her and we like wrote down. But it's like when you don't have recipes, they can get lost.
I
That's a
totally
bummer.
my grandpa died a few months ago. He was 96. And I have one of my most prized possession from him is this menu or this recipe of his favorite. It's like an Italian like broccoli fritter that he used to make me when I was a kid. It's called pitarelli, and my family's from very, very far southern Italy. We were from a very poor area in the hills in southern Italy, and and the recipe is the most unusable recipe. Not one measurement on it. Not a measurement. It does not mention broccoli, even though it's a broccoli fritter. You're supposed to just know that there's broccoli in there. It's hilarious. And I just like it is my most prized possession, but it is so useless.
Right. Oh my God, I love it though. But it's something that's like put it behind glass, do something with it, because
Exactly.
oh my God. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I would die for it. And my dad, I would have loved to have made him that bread, because it was just, and
Yeah.
I've tried different recipe. It just wasn't, I've just never been able to even
I know.
remotely get close to it. It's just
I hear you.
a bummer. Anyways,
Julie,
so yeah.
do you remember that event we did, a virtual event with the people who wrote In Case You Get Hit by a Bus? And it was a book about like estate planning. And remember they were talking about like recipes as something that should be provided for to pass down to the people who are good enough to receive the recipes. Like I keep thinking about that because yeah, I mean recipes are definitely an inheritance.
It's true. Yeah. I mean,
Totally.
they're your culture. They're who I don't care what ethnicity you are. It is who your family is.
Totally.
Even like,
but then those older generations were like, so you just put this much flour.
yeah, handfuls.
They were like,
yeah, it was all by the hands. They
right.
would put handfuls.
Which I get. And like, when I was little, I used to get sat next to the women who were mostly women in my family were doing the cooking, although some men did too. And learned a lot of those recipes just by being plonked down next to them and asked to knead stuff for exorbitant amounts of time.
Exorbitant amounts of time. All right. Well, it looks like it's just us kids here today. Doesn't look like we got anybody coming in late. So Julia's got the floor for most of it. Amanda and I might pop in with a suggestion here or there if we've got something. So you got something, Amanda, to talk about? Okay, then I'm gonna switch between you and Julia then. So Julia, I put screen share on if you need it.
I have everything next to me today.
Ooh, I love that.
I know, so fancy.
Oh no.
My first one is one of my favorite books of the whole season, 60 Songs That Explain the 90s by Rob Harvilla. If you didn't catch him, he was on CBS this morning today talking about it. It comes out tomorrow. He has this great podcast called 60 Songs That Explain the 90s. I think they're on song 101 or something like that. So he's doing a really good job of staying right within that parameter of 60 songs. Um, and what's really fun, it's just a great piece of music criticism. It's definitely has nostalgia for if you're about my age and lived through the 90s, and maybe it was your formative years were in the 90s, and so you remember all these songs. There is a nostalgia factor, but also it's just great music criticism talking about these songs that sort of, and these groups and these people that were so influential. And a couple of my favorites, the Macarena essay on the Macarena,
Okay.
because I think this really, like, I think it really breaks down like why he's so good at this, is that he both acknowledges the ridiculousness. He's like, it's a ridiculous dance, it's a ridiculous song. There's a lot of,
But
like,
we all did it. But we
and-
all did it.
and aren't we all so happy that social media didn't exist to capture even more of us doing it?
I remember teaching it to my cousins at a wedding, for God's sakes.
Oh yeah. There was definitely some photos in my junior high yearbook of the kids doing the Macarena at the school dance. And I look at it now and I'm like, woof, what a time machine.
Okay.
But he also, so he, he acknowledges that was ridiculous, and then also is like, but the number one song in the country for weeks and weeks and weeks was a song that was almost exclusively in Spanish. And actually it really moved a lot of music forward. Now we have like Bad Bunny is the biggest, artist in the world, and we see a lot of pop music in the US that, is in Spanish entirely or somewhat in Spanish. And a lot of that draws back to, the Macarena. And he, like, it stands on the shoulders of Gloria Estefan, and he sort of like goes through the whole, sort of musical lineage. There's a great essay on Boyz II Men, and it's really about Boyz II Men versus Jodeci, which is just like tremendous. It's so good. Anyway, so and if you are a podcast fan, at one point, this is how good this podcast is. Courtney Love asked him to come on the podcast and talk about Smells Like Teen Spirit, which, like, she never talks about Nirvana.
Wow.
And she was like, you're so respectful and so like good at this that I would love to come on and talk to you. So it's great. It's a great book. It's a great podcast. I highly recommend both.
That's pretty. That's pretty bad. I just saw. Okay, think what you want of Green Day.
I love Green Day.
I know
I'm
that
from the
can
Bay
be,
Area, Julie. Green Day.
I know that can be a hot topic for some people. That can be a really lightning point. But I just saw a video that popped up. I don't know how it popped up on one of my feeds that I was doing, where it was somebody had captured them performing at their high school in like 1990. Ish. I don't know which night, 5, 6, I don't know what it was, but they were so good, and their sound was spot on to what they were and what they became, which I thought was just fantastic. So yeah,
totally. Green Day was, if you grew up in the Bay Area, Green Day was like a big deal even before Dookie came out in 96 it came out, I think. Yeah, it was a big deal.
So anyway, so I just think, 90s music, because I think each decade gets kind of slammed, for like, oh, this was the best music. This was the best. Every decade's got, and the 90s had some really good, I forget Acacia, if you're watching this, she like smacked me down. This was a few years ago when I went to a Matchbox 20 Goo Goo Dolls concert.
Oh.
And she was just like, oh my God, she cracked me up, because I was just like, oh, thanks for covering for thanks for doing the event, blah, blah, blah. I'm at a Goo Goo Dolls concert. She goes, hey, how are the 90s? You should buy some of those Beanie Babies. They're going to be worth something someday.
Yeah. I mean, it's true, but
it was pretty fun.
That song by the Goo Goo Dolls in City of Angels, it still makes me cry. I can't help it.
I know. There you go.
Great fun.
Still good.
Also, my favorite Green Day album is Nimrod. What's yours?
Nimrod's
Julia?
a great album. Yep.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah,
I don't know.
when I was a teenager, Kerplunk, which is their album right before Dookie, that was on Lookout Records, which is an independent like punk label from the East Bay. Kerplunk was like the big, like, if you liked Kerplunk, you were really cool. Like
I love it. Okay, Lori's on here asking, Lori, this is one of my favorite icebreakers to do at any meeting. I've gotten slammed about it, but it's the best icebreaker ever. Is what was your first concert? So I'm old. So my first concert was 1974, Wings Over America, Paul McCartney at the Forum. That was my very first concert. So
at the Forum.
At the Forum. It was a good one. And so it's hard to, that's a pretty good, I mean, I'm not going to put like, because I used to go to musicals with my parents at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. That doesn't count as a concert. Julia, what was yours?
So the first one I attended like by myself with my friends was Beck on the Odelay tour.
Oh,
so 2 turntables and a microphone era Beck at the Santa Cruz Civic Auditorium. Yes, although my mom particularly took me before that to see like Joan Baez and a couple of other like my mom's an old hippie from San Francisco, and so I got taken to some of those concerts sometimes. But
I know I talked about this last week, and I can't wait till my daughter gets to say that Britney Spears in 2nd grade was her first concert. Actually, it wasn't. You know what it was? Oh my God, no, I'm just thinking about this. I sent them to the Spice Girls when they were 5.
With whom?
My niece. With my niece, took all the neighborhood kids, like 7 or 8 of them, to a Spice Girls concert. And she this was before cell phones, before everything. She came back and she's like, Auntie, they were naked on stage.
What?
Amazing.
I was like 5 going to Spice Girls. Anyways, okay, Amanda, what's yours? And then we'll get to another book. Tell us your concert and then talk about your book.
Well, my first concert my dad took me to was Don McLean, because I still love oldies. Like that was all I listened to when I was pretty young on the radio. And then the first one I went to on my own was Typo Negative, which that if you know, you know. Yeah.
Okay, Lori's on her first one was Three Dog Night. That's a good first concert.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's
Definitely.
Good concert.
Yeah.
All right, Amanda, what book do you have for us?
Okay, I'm going to talk about a couple of books that I have not read yet, but I'm very excited are available, and I think other people will be as well. So I've given some of my friends on social media heart attacks because they thought this was the 3rd book in a series that a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. It is not. This is a novella. This is from Patrick Rothfuss.
Oh.
It is The Narrow Road Between Desires. And yeah, all I will say is that this is a novella centered around a very popular character in the series, Bast. And yes, this is not the 3rd book in the Name of the Wind series. I'm very sorry. But if you love Patrick Rothfuss and you know someone who does, this is a very nice little potential holiday gift. It's got cool illustrations throughout. It's got very pretty end papers. It's a nice little thing to tide people over until, if ever, the book comes out that everyone is waiting for.
All right, I love it. And that's funny because I do actually have that book, the first one that you mentioned. It's I don't know why I bought it years and years ago. I haven't read it yet. I don't know. Maybe you probably told me about it. I don't know. But it's down on my floor.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the biggest epic fantasies to come out in the last dozen years. Like the first book came out a long time ago, and so it's kind of like the whole thing with George R.R. Martin,
right?
And I was talking to a fellow bookseller about this, and we were using George R.R. Martin as a verb or like an adjective for waiting and waiting for something that's never coming. And we talked about Rothfuss, and the bookseller said, there are as many words for being Rothfuss or martened as there are Inuit words for snow, which yeah. Anyway, that's the Narrow Road Between Desires, out tomorrow.
All right, perfect. Make a lot of people happy
It's
for
very
that.
good. It's very Godot as well, if we're going to be real literary about it.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Julia, what do you have next for us?
Okay, so this book came out like earlier this year. It's called Hoop Muses, an insider's guide to pop culture and the women's game. And I wanted to celebrate that the NCAA women's basketball season is upon us. South Carolina, the Gamecocks, had 15,000 people at their opening game because I don't know if you've heard, but women's sports are taking off in a big way. And so I wanted to celebrate women's basketball. It's really colorful, it's illustrated, but it's got a lot of great info about sort of the history of women's basketball and sort of how it has grown and evolved. It highlights different famous women's basketball players, coaches, and it's just a really great book. I think it's a really great gift book for people, whether it's adults or kids. I think it's not technically a kid's book, but I think, precocious kids can get down on reading it. Just a really great book about women's basketball. Features Sue Bird, Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, all the greats. Oh, Kim's here. And so yeah, I really highly recommend it. I'm really excited to watch the NCAA women's basketball now that the WNBA just had their finals and the Las Vegas Aces won that for a second time in a row. So yeah, it's a great one. And I think, as women's sports sort of really starts to take off in popularity and seemingly, we're going to start getting a lot more coverage on sports sort of news in sports news outlets. It's a great way to sort of start people off and get them knowing about the history of the women's game.
I love it. Yeah, my daughter's huge fans of WNBA. And then Mallory was just at one of the women's soccer teams down here, and she's just like, women's soccer needs to be on prime time.
Yeah, my friend looked at that as well at Snapdragon Stadium.
Yeah. They
Cool.
San Diego has the second highest, I think, second or third highest attendance in the country for National Women's Soccer League. Los Angeles is number one. The Angels.
Yeah.
Angel City, yeah.
Angel City,
yeah. And then but they just signed the National Women's Soccer League just signed a big media deal with 4 different networks. So you're going to start seeing them on more networks. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Talk to me now. Hoop Muses. Sorry, I was looking at something else while you were talking about it. All ages. It got from the look of it, it looks like it was something that maybe it had illustrations and stuff.
It's got illustrations. It's like,
okay,
it's definitely like for adults, but I said, I think kind of I don't know. I think about, because you can see there is a lot of writing in it.
Okay,
but if you're a kid, if you have a precocious sort of older kid,
right,
I think no problem they can read it.
Awesome.
So it's it isn't aimed at kids.
Okay,
but I do think kids could engage with it.
Awesome. Amanda, since Kim joined us, I'm going to pop over you for a second, go to her, and then we'll finish the roundup. How's that sound? All right. Okay, Kim. Hi.
Okay. Hi. Okay.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm just so excited about these books. I had to come. Okay.
It's the girls' day. I love this.
Totally. So this year, we were asked to pick 3 books we wanted to hand sell over the holidays. And while I was writing out my list, I asked our wonderful bookseller, Jacob, who's about 22, what his picks were. And he told me he was totally excited about his first pick. And so then I showed him my list, and I had the very same first pick. And it's The Future by Naomi Alderman, which of course Shannon did last week. And I thought it sounded amazing, and it is. And And as Shannon explained, it's an apocalyptic techno thriller featuring tech billionaires, AI, survivalists, bunkers, private islands, climate change, and a lot more. And Jacob told me he's about halfway through and he can't stop reading it. And I'm in exactly the same position. So I'm only halfway through, but it's amazing. And I picked it from my holiday list because I think it would appeal to so many different people, obviously young and old, and people who like sci-fi, people who like thrillers, people looking for literary fiction, stuff about the environment. It's got LGBTQ, it's even got romance. So that's my first pick.
I love it. It's good. I think it is going to be one of those just like hot books for the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, and of course the Power was on Bill Gates and Obama's best of the year list, and I actually like this one even more.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those that I think it's a testament. Matthew's on here. Okay, Matthew, I saw your comment about the Thorns being the best. I didn't get it in time to put it in part of that conversation. Julia might have something to say about that.
They're great. I agree. They're great.
All right. But then Matthew, I think, met Jacob today at Warwick's, Kim. So I love him.
Oh, neat. Isn't he great?
Yeah, he's so good. I love him. So that's a testament to the book that it's because Kim.
I couldn't believe that this like young, dynamic, 22-year-old picked the same book as this 6-year-old hag,
Well, that's the power. I was just gonna state that. I wouldn't say hag, but the power of the book.
So yeah, I mean, we were laughing so hard.
Yeah, I love it.
I also would love to recommend Naomi Alderman's previous book before the Power, which is called Disobedience.
Oh yeah, I haven't read that. Great. Okay, I believe it.
Yeah. All right, Amanda. I kind of lost what order we're going to go in here, so Amanda, why don't you go next?
Okay. This is a book I've read. I actually just finished it today, and this is one that Deborah at Diesel Bookstore mentioned liking, and I finally picked it up. It's The Square of Sevens by Laura Shepard Robinson. And this is a book for people who enjoy historical fiction, who enjoy a little bit of the occult, because our main character reads the cards. And she uses the traditional playing card deck, but it's utilized as tarot is now, and there are obviously a lot of ties between the two things. But it's a story of our main character figuring out who her parents are, because she's an orphan at an early age, and so it's her journey to find out that she may be related to a family that is very highly regarded and rich, but so it's kind of Dickensian, and the book it mentions that, but it ended up surprising me in ways that I did not see coming. And it's a book about writing about your history and finding out about your history, and it's very clever. And I think too, if you like Austen, you would enjoy this book. And it's a nice meaty historical fiction book. Some interesting relationships. Anyway, so it's really fantastic if you're looking for something for someone who enjoys historical fiction. The Square of Sevens.
Oh, Dee is on here, and Kim read it. Dee's read it, and she says that Dee doesn't understand why more people didn't talk about this book. Oops, it just went away. I lost something here. It's so clever, and she said the ending was so impressive.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't want to say too much about it, but I thought for a lot of the book I knew what was going on, and I was like, so what's gonna,
how long is the book?
It came out in September.
Oh,
so yeah, I'm surprised also that more people didn't talk about it. So
who's the pub?
It's Atria.
Okay, Shannon. Shannon. Where was this, Shannon? We got to talk to Shannon.
We need more Shannon.
We need more Shannon. Shannon needs to come on here more often. Okay, somebody's asking, Kim's asking, did a Warwick's rep recommend The Rabbit Factor? Books by and the second one was translated from Finnish. I don't remember. If you like Frederick Bachman types. I don't recall those, but Amanda, I don't know if you remember. Yeah. So good recommendations for the. Do you remember, Amanda? You're on mute. I love I'm saying that 3 years later.
They're from
It's-
IPG.
It's
So
would you like me to talk about it? It's from IPG and I sold it.
Oh, and it was before you came on here. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who are watching and don't know, I used to be the IPG rep. So that's from Orinda Books, which is a great genre publisher. They do a lot of mystery thriller kind of things. The Rabbit Factor is a Scandinavian noir book. Very darkly funny.
Okay.
Very, very darkly funny. And it's part of a series. The second one is the Moose something. I'm sorry, I'm gonna forget. The Rabbit Factor is being made into a movie with Steve Carell. So
Okay.
yeah, it's really good. And I hadn't read it, but everyone that I talked to that did read it loved it, and the author is so funny.
Okay.
Like super dark, but so funny.
my God,
So
all right.
I do really recommend him a lot.
Okay. Might have
yeah.
to learn it. I might have to pick that
Yeah.
one up after reading the
If anyone
Glutton.
from
I
his
mean,
shed
no,
is
I
watching, sorry.
don't- Sorry about that. Well, so, but we're gonna give Julia's gonna go on right now. We're gonna give her lots of choices to talk about all kinds of Hachette books. So, Julia, what else you got for us?
Okay, oof, this one's heavy.
Oh.
I've got this big Johnny Cash gift book. You can see
I
it next to
love
my head. It's huge.
love
And,
that.
this is called The Life and Lyrics, Johnny Cash. So this is for your Johnny Cash fans. It is kind of a bio of him through his lyrics. So it has like his history as, and then you'll see these pages of the lyrics for certain songs, what was happening in his life, the story around how he wrote the songs and why, and big performances like Folsom Prison and San Quentin. It's just a stunningly good book. It's a great, I think, big gift coffee table book. It is a big book, and it's gorgeously laid out. It's gorgeously done. His son, John Carter Cash, contributes a lot to it and talks a lot about his father's sort of legacy and songwriting, and stuff like that. So just a really Johnny Cash, The Life and Lyrics. It comes out tomorrow. And I think a great holiday gift item.
Awesome holiday gift item. That is going to be that is for sure a good sales. Anybody who needs a good gifty kind of book.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't love Johnny Cash?
I mean, truly.
Right? Truly. All right, Kim, like I said, we're going in all kind of, I don't know what kind of order we're in, but I'm going to you next.
That's great. Okay, my second book is actually my second book on my holiday list, and I'm totally excited about it. It's Hidden Potential by Adam Grant, and I just started reading it. It's fabulous. And Adam Grant, of course, is a professor at Wharton. He's an organizational psychologist, and he's written several other bestsellers, including Think Again. And, he's TED Talk guru. He's, the bomb. And I don't read a lot of these books, but this one I just picked it up and I started looking at it and I was like, oh, wow, I have to read this. And it's about how anybody can get better at whatever they want. It's not about talent. It's not about genius. It's really about, it's about hard work. It's not even about hard work. It's about how well you learn. And he gives you all this insight into how to learn better. And I'm a big advocate of lifetime learning. And I think, again, I wish I had this book when I was like 16, but I would also give it to an 80-year-old. I think anybody could find ways to enhance their life with this book. And there's fun chapters like embracing the unbearable, embracing the awkwardness of learning. You know, it makes us uncomfortable. You know, we don't like being uncomfortable.
Well,
We
people don't like to fail, so they want to feel like they know stuff right away.
Exactly. And you don't like to feel dumb, and
Right.
you know, like when you're learning a foreign language or something. And then, but then he has all kinds of other insights. Like he said when he first started lecturing, he would ask for feedback, you know, and he'd get these forms from the students with feedback, and it was 100% negative. And he's like reading it and, you know, thinking about it. And he's like, this isn't helping. I need not feedback, but I need advice. Because when you change the wording, suddenly advice becomes how to get better. And so suddenly everyone's telling him how to get better. And just things like that. And procrastination, we think it's, you know, everyone kind of thinks, oh, I'm being lazy or they're being lazy. But he said, really, it's emotional. And there's something emotional that's making us procrastinate. So it just has all kinds of, and the stories are fantastic, you know, all these anecdotes. And I tend to remember the stories, you know, so it's worth reading the book. It's not just like, okay, these are the bullet points of the book, but it's really engaging, really well written. Again, I would give this book to anybody.
Right. No, and I can't remember. I don't know what I was watching. I watch a lot of stuff, but somebody had said about the hidden potential part 2, which I thought was a great quote, and I'm going to totally misquote this, but the hidden potential is what other people see in you that you might not see in yourself. That it's like when people will like try and lift you up for something, it's like, oh, you should try this, and it's like you're thinking, oh no, I couldn't, but it's like somebody sees something in you.
Absolutely. And he talks about the importance of if you can possibly find it, having a coach in your life in, you know, any way, shape, or form. That's really incredible if you can find that person.
I love this. Dee says she got hidden potential today. She hasn't started yet. It was going to be a gift, but now it's mine, she says.
Yeah,
back
totally.
to the bookstore for more gifts.
Totally.
Exactly. All right, Amanda, I think it's you next.
Are we, is this lightning round?
Well, you know, lightning schlightning. Some people listen to me when I say lightning, some people don't, whatever. No, I don't have a timer on you. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. I'm going back and forth here. Okay, so I do want to mention, this is another one that I just received that I have not read yet, but very excited because this is the second book in a series that started. The first book came out in 2016 and I loved it so much. And I didn't know that this was ever going to happen. So this is from Jim Butcher, who is well known for his Dresden Files series, which is kind of dark urban fantasy. And the first book, The Aeronauts Windlass, was kind of steampunk, but I think when people hear steampunk, they think like pretentious, obnoxious, like people who go to certain conventions and I don't know, dress up like all clockwork, and so it's got like the setting is very unusual. There are airships and there's cool magic, and I really just loved it. There's actually a blurb on the back of this from Patrick Rothfuss.
Have a little theme going today, Amanda.
Great action scenes, a fascinating world, characters of a sort I've never seen before. It truly does have very cool characters. So if you're a fantasy person and you want a great series that you may have missed from a while back, the first book is The Aeronauts Windlass, and then this is the new one, The Olympian Affair.
What was the other one you're going to talk about, Justin? Just show us the other one that you were thinking about doing.
Okay, this is actually, it's new in paperback and it has a very cool new cover. It's from Harold McGee, who's a guru in the cooking world, and it's called Nosedive, A Field Guide to the World's Smells. So if you need a gift for someone, it just came out in paperback and it has a very cool new cover. if you know someone who loves the science of cooking and you need a gift for them, this would be an excellent choice. Nosedive.
Love it.
It's talks about scent in it's science, but it's also very engagingly written. And if you've got someone who has a nose, you know,
You're talking to somebody that has like no sense of smell.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm usually that person who's like, do you smell that? And everyone's like, no. And when I got COVID, it was very disconcerting because I lost my sense of smell for a long time. So
Wow.
I'm hopeful that it's mostly back, but anyway, I think this is a really fun book for someone who likes to think about the science behind food and cooking.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Julia, do you have a fourth one for us?
I have two.
Good. Let's
Do you
go.
want both?
Yeah, I
Okay.
want both.
So the first is Blood in the Machine by Brian Merchant. It came out maybe September or October. I can't remember the exact date. But this is a really interesting one, and I think a good gift for you know, the rabble rouser in your life. Because what this is it's a history of the Luddite revolution that happened in England during the Industrial Revolution. And basically, like, what this book talks about is that, like, the way we use the word Luddite is actually wrong.
Oh.
That's not who the Luddites were. The Luddites were people who, when the first sort of like wave of machinery came in to replace humans building things during the Industrial Revolution, the Luddites literally, to quote Mario Savio, put their, you know, bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, and stopped a lot, like brought England to its knees in industry. And they were very critical of tech and of this new technology that was coming out to sort of replace human workers. And it draws these parallels to, you know, today, to unions, to workers, to labor, and also to thinking about how technology replaces humans within a workforce, and like where those things are good and where they're like not good. And so it's a really great book. He's a great writer. He wrote a book called The One Device a few years ago that was a bestseller. So yeah, Blood in the Machine. This is really a great sort of labor history in a way. Yeah.
And I think, you know, there's books that you need to have that are historical for gift giving. That's kind of a different take on some history stuff. You know what I mean? It's not just about some guy. It's just like, that sounds really interesting. Okay, what's your other one?
And my other one, this is like, I wouldn't say this is like a stocking stuffer, but a real delight. It is the Book of More Delights by Ross Gay.
Yeah.
Any indie bookseller will tell you that Ross Gay is like the writer that writes about joy and about delight. And both the Book of Delights and Inciting Joy are his two previous books and do extremely well, particularly at indie bookstores. But these are these nice small package books. It's like every day he writes a little essay about something that brings him joy or some moment of joy that he witnesses. And they're just a really nice package. They're a really nice thing. I think like either starting your morning off or ending your day with reading like one of these essays. So having it next to your bed or something is sort of great. And I think it's a great stocking stuffer, a great little gift. If you need a little gift for someone.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. All right, Kim, take us home.
Okay. My next book, Julia, you already did this book and you made me buy it. And it's Let's Eat Paris, the essential guide to the world's most famous food city. And it's by some French guy, François-Régis Gaudry. I don't know how to say it. But it's 400 pages of it's a love letter to Paris and the culinary delights of Paris. Covers all kinds of stuff. It's really, really fun. Has all kinds of lists and infographics, and has some recipes. And like your mom, you said your mom came over and she spent like 2 hours reading this book. I think I spent 4 hours. I mean, I like read every word. And then the reason I don't have a hard copy with me is a friend came over, and she's also a France lover. We've been to Paris together, and I was going to give it to her for Christmas, and I had to give it to her right then. So
Best kind of thing to do.
Gonna be buying another copy
I
for
love that.
myself to keep. But I just loved it. And you mentioned Amanda, you mentioned smell, as it applies to cooking. And I just wanted to mention Joshua Weissman's new book. Let me see. I don't think I actually have a picture of it, but he just came out with a book that's kind of fun. That's called, the subtitle is Texture Over Taste. Joshua Weissman, Texture Over Taste. And he's a really popular, food guru. His first book, I forget what it's called, but it was a bestseller. And the texture thing is it's really fun. He goes chapter by chapter with different textures and how to achieve them, why we like them, that whole thing.
Oh yeah, because I mean, texture is a big thing for food for me. Because I mean, there are just things that I just cannot do.
It's a huge thing, and it's interesting. It's very cultural.
Yeah. All right. So I want to tell people that there's a delay between when we're on a Zoom and what you're talking in Facebook. So if sometimes I don't bring your comments in right away, it's because there's this little bit of a delay. But for the Ross Gay, Julia Kim on here just finished the first book of Delights. And she says,
oh, wow,
delightful. And then Dee says this is her night because she's actually seeing Ross Gay on Wednesday.
Oh, good.
I love that.
Oh, wow.
Excellent.
I know. I know anytime there's a chance to see an author in person, I mean, I'm the director of events, so obviously I want you all to come out and see events. But there's just something so special about seeing an author. So if there's an author
really
in your
is.
town, go and see him, go support him. It's really fun to do that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. That was kind of a mixy mashy, but I love it. We got some really good books out there for y'all. And Kim, I know I emailed Mallory today because I forgot to send my list in on Friday. So I'm like, is it too late? It's like, Julia, you recommended a kid's book for me. And I was like, I forgot to send it in, but I'll still be recommending them.
I'm sure it's not too late. She'll make a special exception for you.
I hope so. Mallory, if you're watching, I need an exception. So
Well, I'm dying to know what's on your list.
What's that?
It's on your list.
Oh,
I know,
my
you
God,
gotta bring the list here.
Okay, I was just making it today for my adult stuff. I think we're supposed to do 3. I have I think 12 on here.
I know, it was so hard.
Yeah, because I mean, I still like Wayward, Marvelous, Northwoods, Go as a River, Covenant of Water, Invisible Hour, The Postcard, No Two Persons, Rouge, Such Good Friends, Farewell Tour, Wandering Souls. I got all kinds.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'll have to narrow it down. Wandering Souls is one of those books that didn't get a lot of attention, but God, it was a good book. I wish more people had read that book too. All right. Dee, we'll take all 12 suggestions. Thanks, Dee. You just got them in really quick form. All right, everybody. Next week is Thanksgiving week, but we will still be here to give you some good book recommendations because nothing will be better than after you have a pumpkin pie hangover the next day to lay down and read some good books before you go to those Black Friday sales. Although Black Friday now is like Black Month. I mean, I think it's like every day there's a Black Friday sale going on. So
yeah.
Anyways, I was actually today getting in the holiday spirit, and Elf was on before I came on here. So I was watching Elf and crocheting a Christmas blanket. So I am well into the Christmas spirit here.
In it, all right.
I am so in it.
I didn't know you could crochet.
Oh, you should see my crocheting.
Wow.
I'm gonna do a little patting on the back here.
Yeah, we gotta have a show and tell sometime, Julie.
Yeah.
I'll show you all my little all my wares.
Totally.
It's what saves my mental health was sitting next to my husband watching sports ad nauseum over the weekend. So there you go. All right, everybody. We will see you next week with more good recommendations. Oh, we have a little kitty goodbye. Here we go.
Okay.
Bye. Oops, I did the wrong thing. There we go. There's that.